Okay, good morning, Facebook land, or I guess technically it's afternoon now. Welcome to my Front Porch Friday for July 24th. My name is Kim McCarthy. I'm running for state representative in District 73, Western Greene County, which includes Yellow Springs, Fairborn, Beaver Creek, and Bellbrook, and the townships that surround them. So I'm here today, basically, and I'm here every Friday, I guess, to offer an opportunity for voters to get to know me. With COVID and the pandemic that is happening, I can't get out into the streets, can't get out into events, into festivals, and all the rest of the normal avenues candidates used to take to introduce themselves to the community. So I'm doing it this way, and hopefully this is a convenient and enjoyable method of learning more about who I am and what I stand for. So I offer this space up so that we can discuss the issues that we face, and so I can show you what kind of leader I would be if I'm elected. So I welcome any questions, and if you have a topic that you'd like me to cover on a Friday, just please message me and I'll see what I can do. So today we are going to be talking about the Renergy biodigester that's in Bath Township that is causing a lot of headaches for a lot of residents. And I have 3 local residents who are going to be here with me shortly, who are going to talk about everything they know about the digester and where it's at and what you can do to get involved and to help address the issues that people are dealing with. But before I invite them in, I have to talk about the huge news of this week, the FBI arrest of the Speaker of the House, Larry Householder, as well as 4 other co-conspirators. Basically, they have been involved in racketeering, bribery, money laundering, and conspiracy. So as the FBI special agent in charge called it, it was a shameful betrayal of the public's trust, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. All of this corruption was centered around passing of the bill HB 6, which was the taxpayer-funded bailout of the power plants belonging to First Energy. So I guess it's a good thing that they were investigated and charged. But obviously, it's a sad, sad day for Ohio when we have been betrayed by the highest ranking Republican politician in the House of Representatives. So if you've been following my campaign, you will know that this same person has been sponsoring my opponent, Brian Lampton. He has received monies from Larry Householder. He has received support from dark money PACs that we used in the primary to disparage and spread horrible lies about his opponent. Those same dark money PACs are connected to Larry Householder. So, you know, this is something he's in deep. So this is why I'm running, folks. This is exactly why I stepped up to run for this seat. I'm running to offer an alternative to these kinds of politicians who work to enrich themselves at our expense. My 10 years of activism shows that I am here to work for the people, and I want to be elected so we can send a message to corporations that Ohio politicians cannot be bought. You know, we deserve better than that. So, you know, it's funny because this situation, it ties in directly with the Renergy project we're about to start talking about, because that situation is another one where the corporate interests are put above the people of the area. And HB 6 is actually involved directly with this situation because they're using a section of it to justify the expansion of their so-called public utility. And we'll get into that later when I get my guests on. But yeah, the aim of this conversation is to help people understand what's happening and to show you what you can do. So I'm going to let my guests in from the meeting room, and then I will introduce them. We've got 3 people. Here they come. All right, hi, Kassie.
Hi, Kim.
How are you?
I'm good.
I'll start with Kassie because she's the first one with the screen up. This is Kassie Lester. She is a township trustee in Bath Township, where this facility is located. So glad to have her and her perspective here. She's also a neighbor of the facility, so she lives real close. And then down below me, Luke Borntrager. Good afternoon, Luke. Can you hear me? He had a bit of a audio issue before. Can you hear me, Luke?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay, we also have Matt here. He is a local resident as well. I don't know if he doesn't seem to have a camera. Luke's waving. Hi, Luke. Anyway, welcome to the three of you. Thanks for coming on to discuss the Renergy or the Biodigester. Let's start with Kassie. Kassie, would you like to just give us a brief rundown on the history of this place and kind of what's happened as in the past few years and where we are now with it?
Okay, so this facility was built in 2013, permitted by the EPA in 2014. Yes, it was built prior to being permitted. The residents started noticing what was going on in 15, 16, started getting to be vocal in 17 through the current. We proceeded to find that there was a zoning issue going on. This was an agricultural zone property. This was an industrial operation. Took it to the township. The township ended up getting an outside zoning inspector that completely agreed with whatever the residents had said regarding the zoning of this property. It's been through the BZA hearing. The township BZA also found in favor of the township that this is not an agricultural operation. It is industrial in nature, according to Mr. Jacob Barnes's report. The Renergy and Mr. Pitstick have filed for administrative appeals in the Greene County Common Pleas Courts. We are still waiting for an answer on those. The certified record has been sent over. Renergy has made their filings. The township attorney has made his filings. According to the Greene County Clerk of Court's website that any person can get on and review, it looks like the latest is a request for a hearing for Renergy to show good cause of why they are still operating. There was a cease and desist order issued on September the 6th of 19. It didn't even slow them down. I think on some days it might even sped it up a little bit.
Okay. Wow. So when's that happening, did you say?
The hearing has not been set. It's been requested. So there is no hearing been set at this time. We're still waiting for the judge to come back.
Okay. All right. Great. Thanks, Kassie. Now, Luke, do you want to speak a little bit about why people are so disturbed by this facility? You know, aren't they out there in the country doing their thing and minding their own business and having little impact on the people around them? Uh-oh, Luke.
I think we lost Luke again.
I think, yeah. That's what happens when you have people living in the country. The internet connection is not the best. How about you, Matt? You live close by as well, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you want to speak to what experience you've had with the facility and why you obviously organize against it?
Well, there's a lot of truck traffic on a road, a township road that was not meant to handle that type of 18-wheeler traffic. Tens and even I think the highest truck count maybe that we came up with in one day was 80 some, wasn't it? Luke? You still can't hear?
Yeah.
Anyway.
You're muted.
Anyway, more trucks than should be on that road. There really shouldn't even be any 18-wheeler traffic on that road. Certainly not destination truck traffic. The ORC makes a distinction between through truck traffic and destination truck traffic. So through truck traffic, of course, there's not much that that the county or a township could do about, because it's just freedom of passage. But destination truck traffic is a different animal. And, another aspect of this, besides the truck traffic, the decrease in lifestyle, the health concerns, there are studies all over the board on the health effects or lack thereof. We would say there are possible health effects based on the studies that we've read. The well water we're worried about. This facility was permitted to sit right over top of a sole source aquifer, and by the company's own permit evaluations, geologically speaking, it is in a karst area. The groundwater has been found to be as high as 5 feet from the surface. That's by the company's own engineering evaluation that was done. So there's myriad concern about this. Even perhaps you've seen the 2018 federal EPA's Inspector General report, which says that they are, quote, unable to assess the human health impacts of biosolids. Well, my question to the EPA has always been, if you're unable to assess it, is that your modus operandi? If you're unable to assess a health risk, you just go ahead and permit it? That makes zero sense to me. I don't know about you.
Yeah, well, I mean, have you seen that movie Dark Waters about, the EPA and is it DuPont and all the poisoning that they did for decades, getting thousands of people sick, and it took years and years for any kind of remedy to happen there. All right, looks like we have Luke coming in on the phone as well, so that's good. Yeah, thank you, Matt, for that. So Luke, can you hear me now, and can we hear you?
Copy that. Can you hear me?
Sure can. Welcome,
Okay.
Luke.
There we go.
Yes.
That's a little better here.
Yeah, so tell us about your experience living right nearby. And, let's just make this clear. This is a processing plant that is bringing in human waste and basically putting it through this low heat, about 85 or 90 degrees in this domed facility. And then after that, it basically gets kind of held in a retention pond and then spread out over nearby fields and maybe not so nearby fields. What impact, what's the smell like? Because that's what I see online, right? I see so many people day after day. What is that smell?
Right.
What is that smell?
Yeah, so right off the bat, so one of the first things that we get accused of is that we're city folks that have moved out to the country and just don't understand smells. I grew up around farming all my life. I understand that there's a distinct smell and processing of different manures to include hog manure, cow manure, horse manure, chicken manure to include, or turkey manure, and then also human waste. Each one of these have a distinct smell to them. When I moved out here just a year and a half ago, out to this beautiful farm country out here, I love my farmers. We get accused of hating our farmers, but I love my farmers. This is why I moved out here, is to get out away from the city, to get out to the country, to get out to the fresh air, to include the smells of the farms. The first month here, however, what I was smelling was not at all hog manure. There was a definite, distinct odor to it. Of basically, and at the time I believed it to be hog manure because I moved in. The disclosure document said basically I live next to a pig farm / digester. It mentioned nothing about this digester containing human waste. So as part of that, I started doing research and asking questions. Well, why does it smell so bad out here compared to what I'm normally used to, understanding what pig manure smells like? And that's when I find that basically this process hauls in human waste from wastewater treatment plants, processes it, and then sits in a storage tank to basically rot. And for those unaware of the size of the storage tank, and if you look on a map, you'll be able to see it's this big circle, but you really don't get the feel for what that feels. By way of the actual square footage of that tank, it is 38,000 square foot. If you were to look at a standard sized football field, such as the one down there in Fairborn, go Hawks, by the way, what you would see is that the square area would cover from my end zone all the way to the opponent's 20-yard line. And that is sitting stagnant water, basically waiting for the stuff to rot out to be able to create a biosolid being used to go out and put on the land. Now, they have proposed, this one here is just a 5 million gallon tank. They have proposed, and unfortunately that they've revoked the process because we've appealed it and it got held up in court, a 32 million gallon pond, two of them totaling 32 million gallons, of which was going to be over 10 acres. That is 12 times the size of the current one here. That would be basically like 8 football fields sitting here stagnant with this smell coming out of here. So you can imagine it's worse now, we're having this, small one-size football field. Imagine that 12 times larger. That would directly affect not only the folks here, but that would definitely affect the folks down there in Fairborn as you're downwind of that.
Right.
So that's kind of what we're facing out here, and that's kind of what we've been fighting. And we understand we don't hate our farmers, we love our farmers, but what we see is, in my personal opinion, is that the biosolids industry basically comes after the farmers and takes advantage of them. Farming is a hard life. You have 3 bad years and your farm is done. I don't care how big it is. So, and one of the biggest financial burdens on the farmer is how do you actually take care of your crops by way of pesticides and by way of feeding it and the organic nature of that. So what happens is the biosolids industry comes in and they offer cheap fertilizer to the farms, and they brag about being, it's all green, it's all renewable. They don't go into the details of the research that's not been done about the long-term effects of some of the chemicals that may or may not be in this. However, they offer up as a cheap solution to being able to fertilize their farms.
Right.
And as part of that, and that really that's really a really telling factor in my opinion. When it comes down to them saying, hiding behind this shield of green energy and being able to offer it cheap, and understanding how expensive true manure is, and actually the fertilizer itself, why is it so much cheaper? Because the money's not in putting it out. Basically, what you're seeing is this is an industrial operation for the disposal of human waste. And the real money comes from the agencies and the groups that are actually paying to have the human waste hauled into here and gotten rid of. That's where the money is inside the house. So on the flip side of that, offering it as a, quote, green energy on the cheap as fertilizer is just typically or basically a disposal site for the waste.
Right. So we're talking about Greene County, the wastewater treatment plant, basically any municipality that processes their own sewage. It's the sludge from that.
Yes, correct. And what we believe to be, and what we'll talk about here at the end as we get into the COVID comment, is that it was supposed to be simply straight from processed wastewater treatment plants. I can tell you firsthand, I've seen numerous septic trucks come in here and dump as well. Now, I called the EPA on this, and my first response with the EPA was that they were unaware of the septics coming in. And then I got a follow-on response saying that, yes, we are aware of septic trucks. However, these septic trucks are basically holding grease products and food byproducts from food restaurants and such. And so what their claim is that, yeah, the septic trucks come in, but they don't hold septic because septic is not processed the same as wastewater treatment. And so that leads me to believe. So what you're telling me is that as these septic trucks come in and they go out and get the grease chutes and clean out restaurants, that they go back and they clean their trucks after every septic run, go do a run out to the local restaurant, clean the grease chute, and then bring just the grease in, dump that, and then go back out and do septic stuff. I believe that's an inefficient process, in my opinion.
Sure. So the smell that people are complaining about, that is more evident, I assume, when the wind's just blowing the right way, right?
Yeah. So you'll start. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, and I was just going to say, so there's a smell coming from the holding tank, the big pond, and then there's also smells when they go out and inject this stuff into the fields, right?
Yes, that is correct. So there's actually a website that you can go on to and look, and it's the Ohio EPA Biosolids Map site. And it will show you all of the fields in the county, actually in the entire state across the country, but mostly in Ohio. But you click on there, and Kassie's got a link here somewhere. I can get that link as well. But you type in your address, and you look at all the red around. If you look at that map and look at Fairborn, the entire western side to the west of Fairborn is covered in these red fields. Mm-hmm. Now, they're supposed to be managed and maintained and taken care of. Now, the issue with that is that in order to get a site like this, all I have to do as one of these folks, these biodigester sites or the processors of it, all they have to do is go get the landowner's approval, do some research on the field itself, do some land study, look what's underneath it, get some soil samples, and then submit an application to the EPA. The EPA then reviews that site, and then if it's approved, it's approved, period. There's no notification to any neighbors. There's no notification to anybody else besides those three groups that are involved there: the landowner, the person producing the biosolids and spreading the biosolids, and then the EPA. So you may be sitting there next to a great green field one day, and all of a sudden one day see this green tank with spikes out the back end injecting a field and get a very bad smell off of that. And assuming, well, it's just standard operation. No, in fact, this is a biosolid operation that you're completely unaware of, put right next to you.
And so that makes me really nervous because I live in Sugar Creek Township out in the country, and I have a cornfield, a massive cornfield right beside me. So maybe I should get on that map and make sure. I mean, I haven't smelt it. I imagine if they were using it, I would know about it. But what you're saying is any day that could happen to me and I would have no comeback or
Yeah. You wouldn't even be notified about it. You would have no recourse and would not be notified, and there would be no requirement for approval by you.
Right.
If you want to go look this up right now, the Google search term would be Ohio EPA GIS. GIS is in Sierra. Beneficial use site. That's what they call it. It's a
beneficial use, beneficial to someone, but probably not us. Yeah. All right. Well, I will put all of these links to people who are interested in the comments when this video gets saved and back up on the page, so people can look that up. All right. So the water. Let's talk about the impact that these ponds can have on that aquifer and who that water services. Because it's not just the area where you are, right? It's for a much larger area.
Correct. I'll take this question. This facility, most of our properties around this area sit on the sole source aquifer for Fairborn, City of Dayton, all the people out here. We are on a well. I know there's residents on Byron that is just to the west of this facility. Their wells are 20 feet deep. This stuff has been proven by the USGS to go down 4 feet in a little over a year. So it's almost guaranteed that it's already in their water. It's in their well. Does that mean it's in my well too? In the City of Dayton's water? We're all getting it from the same place. We have to protect our water.
Right. And then what happens? So basically, if something happens to that pond, because I've actually seen that pond, at least pictures of it, and it doesn't look that secure to me. It's really close to the top. How thick is it? And I mean, what if a tornado or something came through, some kind of weather event? Do you think that would be able to withstand that?
No. This facility sits across from the Fairborn Cement Company blasting area. Anyone that lives in this area knows when they blast, they will, it causes cracks in concrete. This is a concrete lagoon. So, it's hard not to see this thing cracking when they blast.
Right.
Yeah, and then going back to the safety aspect of that. So when the application was originally submitted for this, they basically had a certain level they had to meet, and it was called a board level. So basically a 2-foot board level, meaning there was 2 foot above the water line to the actual top of the digester, of the actual digester wall itself, or retention pond itself. So in the event that there was a massive storm, a massive influx of water for any reason, that the pond itself, the lagoon itself, could actually hold that amount without overflowing. However, they rapidly hit that and went back and requested the EPA, hey, can we shrink this to 1 foot? And the answer came back as, yes, you could. And then it came back again. I believe they've adjusted again since then. I don't know what the official word on the latest level is. However, this lagoon is always full. And that's one of the issues we're seeing is that the sites across the state of Ohio that are being approved, to include the lagoons that were up north, are filling up so rapidly that as soon as they're approved, as soon as they start filling within a month or 2, 3 months, they are at max capacity. And then they're requesting additional lands. As late as the last week of June, they submitted a plan for a request for 4 approved fields up towards the Urbana area, and they immediately spread those fields. A lot of the fields around here are at max level saturation levels. So another backup plan for these approved sites and these approved storage areas is that land would be readily available in the event of a catastrophe, that all the fluids could be pumped out of these ponds and these lagoons and spread across sites. If you go back and look at the sites, however, due to the number of sites that they're additionally increasing and requesting for every month, there is no way the current fields as they sit right now could actually accept all that fluid. So the fail-safe plan to be able to have a backup plan in the event of a catastrophe could not be feasibly implemented.
Okay. All right. So besides the fact that we have this toxic liquid like being sprayed out into the fields and then held in this massive containment that could break, that contains, we don't even know what it contains, right? The EPA doesn't really know what's in there, but basically anything that...
There is a targeted national sewage sludge survey. The last one was conducted in 2009. So we're, you're 11 years old on this report, but this is all we have to go by. They've identified 352 different pollutants that are found in sewage sludge. The EPA only makes them test for 9, I believe, and those are only heavy metals, nothing else. They cannot guarantee us that fentanyl is not being spread. They can't guarantee us that there is no coronavirus, no COVID-19 in these biosolids. So we're having to use data that is 11 years old. I will share that link at the end so people can look at it. It will tell you exactly what they have found in the sludge, also known as biosolids. There's the link. There was plenty of links that we will share at the end so people can go and look for their own personal self and do their own research on this. Don't just believe us, do some research.
Right. So what kind of impact does this smell have on people's lives? I mean, I saw a lot of complaints over the 4th of July. And I assume because it seems like they're smelling it in newer developments. So I guess these areas used to be open, used to be farmland, but the city of Fairborn is getting closer and closer into Bath Township there. What kind of impact does this smell have on people?
You want me to take that, Luke?
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
All right. I have heard from people from North Maple and Fairborn, which is quite a good ways away. I didn't do the approximate mileage. Waterford Landing is extremely hard hit with odors. Rona Hills, Rona Village. We have citizens down towards the center of Fairborn smelling it. Over by the Kroger's and the New Menards, they constantly, I constantly hear people over there saying that this stinks really bad. So the Forest Hills area, Country Club Acres, we're hearing it from all these different places that they're catching whiffs of these odors and they're trying to figure out what it is. And we try to help them out. There goes the truck.
There goes the
right
truck.
Behind Luke.
Hey, excuse me, Cassie, can I say something here?
Go for it, Matt.
So I think it's important for people to realize that it would be easy to look at this and hear us talking about this, that, oh, that's a local issue, it's just Fairborn or it's this area. That's not the case, okay? And it's not also just the smell. This is growing. Again, if you get on that EPA GIS map and you have to click down and zoom down to the county level to get the pink fields to show up, it's all over the state. And it's not just Ohio. They're fighting it out west. It's all over the country. And this is growing. It's a growing practice. Look, I understand that the disposal of municipal waste is a problem. I mean, the population is growing. It's increasingly difficult. So they're trying to find something constructive to do with it. The technology is sort of promising, but they've banned it in Switzerland. They've studied this overseas and they've perpetually banned it because their scientists are unable to assess, just like the EPA says, unable to assess what it's going to do to their soil years into the future. So they've just said it's better to go back to, burning it, incinerating it. And the incinerator scrubbers are so clean these days that to me is a more viable option than a landfill. It's certainly a more viable option than slopping it all over the ground. Look, to me, this comes down to money. It's cost money to run an incinerator, but when you can just find some poor unsuspecting farmer who you tell that it's a green energy source and it's free fertilizer or cheap fertilizer that's organic, that's very misleading. Organic, anything carbon-based is organic, but you hear the word organic and you think, oh, Whole Foods or, some healthy alternative to normally grown crops. And another thing, we found, and I was misled about this, I guess. I thought that they did not commingle the grains that are grown in biosolids with normally grown, traditionally grown grains. But come to find out, they do. I just talked to 2 Department of Agriculture people from Ohio just last week that confirmed that. So it's already in the food supply. I just got confirmation from the Ohio EPA today that they have no regulatory authority. They do nothing about what happens once they harvest those crops. So you're eating it already. It's in your Doritos, probably your cereal. It goes to Cargill. They take it. If it doesn't look like a tainted crop, if it doesn't have mold or something on it, they just assume that they don't even know what it is. It's just what the farmer tells them that it is.
Yeah,
so you're eating the stuff grown, and it's known to uptake into plant roots, into plant parts.
Right.
It's very concerning.
Yeah, and they do have some kind of a rule that if you spray this stuff on crops, that you cannot then use those crops for human consumption for a number of years, right?
No.
But no?
No. You'd think, right? Because you can't go on a field that's been applied. Animals can't graze on it for 30 days. You can't harvest the crop for, I think it's 14 months after it's been applied. But that's not the case. Yeah, it goes, there's no oversight.
Okay, that's terrible. All right, well, we are running out of time here, but let's just talk about what people can do to help address this problem. I mean, we have to come up with a solution for this waste, obviously, but it seems like this thing is not the way to go. We need an EPA that will act. My puppy, off you go. There's an EPA person in charge of this facility, right? That people can contact. Is that right?
Yes, I will share the screen. Oh, nope, not that one. This one. This is all the different links that people can you do their own research. Everything that we've stated is on there.
Great.
We ask that if you have any concerns, please contact your township trustees. Attend the meetings when they become open. When they are in-person meetings. Right now, there's no in-person meetings happening. Contact Heather Lauer at the EPA. Express your concerns. Let us trustees know. I know how most residents feel, but I'm always happy to speak to residents anytime they have an issue.
Great, Cassie. Thank you so much. So great for that. I will put those links in the comments. All right. Well, thank you, Matt. Thank you, Luke. And thank you, Cassie, for coming on here today. And hopefully that's helped people get a better understanding of what that biodigester is all about and what the implications are of having it in our community. And, I live in Sugar Creek. I'm half an hour drive away, but this impacts me as well. We didn't get to speak about COVID really, but there's some studies being done, Luke, right, that have shown that COVID can end up in this sludge, in this waste product, and we don't know what kind of transmission ability it has. Right?
Yes, correct. Yep, that is correct. So there's a process where we're told all these fail safes are in place that prevents it to do so. However, we can show a breakdown of each one of those processes. So it's not so much as that's proven to be there. The issue is it can be proven that if the fail safes are not met, that potentially it could be there. So as a result, the research has not been done to prove that it is not there. And we are getting as so far as seeing early in the March time frame, they were doing testing in for COVID in wastewater treatment plants. And in fact, the federal EPA in May partnered with the Ohio Department of Health to do a field study and a survey offering up the city of Cincinnati's wastewater treatment plants for the tracking of COVID, for determination of outbreak. So they are actually finding remnants of COVID in processed wastewater treatment plants. So that's just where it's getting to the point there. Talking about vector transmission, how things come out of there. Basically, there's no studies on after it's field applied, how it affects by way of mosquitoes or mice or rats or any type of animals that route. So there's possible transmission there. Supposedly, the EPA goes out and inspects a lot of these sites, not every one of them, but does go out and inspect sites after field application. However, due to the COVID, all inspectors for the EPA have been locked down since March. There's not been a single field inspection occurring. We have at least 3 different weeks, by experience and by data showing here that I can provide, that about the first week of every month right now, we have numerous trucks go out to include. As Matt talked about, the one day where we had up to 80 trucks heading in and out of here. They actually hired a fleet of 10 trucks over a series of a week, 60 to 70 runs a day of those 10 trucks up north through the Urbana area, producing over 1 million gallons of this stuff applied to the lands. They did the same thing in April. The first week of April, they had about nearly 1 million. It was about 900,000 gallons of this stuff was applied in April timeframe. And then in May as well, they had a week there where they're applying this stuff. So millions of this gallons is being applied to our land, following supposed rules, of which some fields have been found in violation in the past, with no oversight because our inspectors are locked down.
You don't want that stuff in your backyard, you weirdo.
Nobody does.
It's all over the place.
Yeah, and it sounds like it's probably in our water, in our food supply already.
Go to Kim, thank you for doing this. And
you're welcome.
I encourage everybody to go to No Human Waste on Ohio Farms, the Facebook page, and watch the videos there. There's it's like a soap opera. There's possible corruption, there's money, there's health concerns. It's crazy. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, I'll put all of those links in the comments. So thank you again, Matt, Luke, and Kassie. And thank you to everyone out there. And we'll see you next Friday.
Okay.
Have a good day. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.